Hey guys, welcome to the Liberal Hive Mind, a channel solely focused on exposing the abundant hypocrisy of the left. If you are struggling, how are you still voting for these Democrats? It's just unbelievable. This total scam that the Democrat Party has pulled, convincing people who are struggling, people who are impoverished, not to vote for those Republicans, those rich white males, but to vote for us, the Democrats. Those rich white males and females with a D next to our name. Makes a real big difference now, doesn't it? Here's the difference. Republicans don't want to give you anything other than equal opportunity, an opportunity to make something of yourself, run your business unimpeded and protect your freedoms. Well, Democrats will promise you the earth, will promise you everything for free, everything taken care of, as they line their own pockets and deliver on next to nothing. What's better, nothing or nothing with a smile on top as they rob you blind? The answer is absolutely clear, and this idea of Democrat elitism, the liberal elite, continues to expose itself. I mean, a couple weeks ago, Nancy Pelosi literally said this.
And to this day, my husband, Paul, who was born and raised in San Francisco, I was born and raised in Baltimore. To this day, he likes to dine at 8, and I like to eat at 5:30. Like a peasant. No.
Nancy Pelosi, unlike her very refined European father, eats at 5:30 p.m. like a peasant. Queen Nancy Antoinette strikes again. This is the leader of the party that you think cares about poor people, cares about your well-being. Give me a break. These tone-deaf elitist liberals don't care. The most recent example, the most recent PR disaster, well, is, frankly speaking, walking, talking PR disaster Maxine Waters, who when confronted on the homeless issue by homeless people, get this, she told everyone to go home and showed up to the event on the street wearing fancy jewelry and fancy clothes, sticking out like a total sore thumb. And the optics of this just make the point that we've been making forever. These elitist Democrats don't relate to your problems and don't care about your problems. They only care about using your problems to get elected. Let me show you guys what happened. Let's talk about it a little bit. Let's talk about Democrat elitism. But before we get into any of it, please make sure to leave a like, a comment, subscribe, share the video as much as possible. We are still shadow banned by the YouTube algorithm, hidden from non-subscribed viewers. With that out of the way, let's roll the tape. All right, folks, take a look at this. Maxine Waters tells the homeless to, quote, go home. At an event where many of Los Angeles' homeless thought they would be getting assistance, Representative Maxine Waters instead defended her record and told people to, quote, go home. On Friday, Maxine Waters showed up to a non-profit event aimed at helping LA's homeless attain shelter, but the event on Friday drew larger than anticipated crowds after a social media post misled people into thinking they would be given coveted Section 8 vouchers. In attendance was Representative Maxine Waters, who became defensive after the crowd called for more to be done about the city's homelessness crisis. Take a look at this.
We'll see. Did they move another location where they're taking apps? Is there any more locations than this one?
No, it might have been just so many people out here.
1 minute. I want everybody to go home. And I want
we don't got no home. Okay. That's why we here. Miss Miss Waters, get home, we gonna go too.
Yeah. Just a moment. Just a moment. Nothing is going to happen here today. Nothing is going to happen anymore today.
What about these names?
What we're gonna well, that's what give me. Excuse me. That's why I'm here. And so I will be downtown with Lassa. I will get the housing authority. That's why they came out here today. I made them come out here.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm going to go.
And you need to know why they're failing, because Blanca Jimenez repeated, we gave her several meeting requests for you concerning this in Lassa for years.
And now there's nobody in Washington who works for their people in a harder than I do.
I believe you.
I don't want to hear that.
I believe you. So can we finish though? Work with me.
No.
Work with me so we can house people. That's what I'm doing.
I do every day.
What you do every day? I'm still on a damn
the
street.
money that you got
She said
at
that she doesn't cash it out.
in Washington, D.C. I will continue to work. I will get the information. I will no more about you today.
There were never no
about that.
Maxine Waters is an optics nightmare. Everything she does, everywhere she goes, every public event that Maxine Waters is a part of becomes a complete skeptical. And most of the time, it's nobody's fault other than Maxine Waters. I mean, could you imagine showing up to a Los Angeles event aimed at getting shelter for homeless people, and the moment things get even a little bit heated, your immediate reaction is to yell at them, telling them to go home. You cannot make this stuff up. You cannot write this stuff. It's literally a Babylon Bee headline. But it's also nothing new, and this is all we see from politicians, and especially California politicians. They're dealing with a homelessness crisis, and all they ever do is not fix the problem, but use the problem for photo ops. Governor Gavin Newsom does the exact same thing all the time. What has Gavin Newsom done to solve the homelessness crisis in California? Absolutely nothing. But every year, we're covering events where Gavin Newsom is on the street during an event for the homeless. But at least Gavin Newsom is a smart enough politician to show up in a white t-shirt and jeans. Elitist, corrupt politician Maxine Waters shows up to an event for the homeless not only to tell them to go to their non-existent homes and to essentially get away from her, but she shows up in a fancy pantsuit with a bunch of expensive jewelry. I mean, you've got to be out of your mind. The one thing you should probably be doing during an event like this is showing up looking like a normal human being, dressed in normal clothes, being relatable. Instead, she shows up showing off her wealth, her extravagant luxury and wealth, and tells homeless people to go home. And obviously the most telling part was how defensive she got when questioned about her track record. I mean, she literally got pissed off. One thing any California politician over the last couple of decades cannot do is defend their track record. I mean, literally what those people were saying is nothing is being done, nothing has been done for over 10 years when it comes to shelter. And Maxine Waters immediately gets defensive and starts touting her incredible success when it comes to the issue of homelessness and shelter for the homeless. I mean, all you need are eyeballs to literally look around and realize that Maxine Waters hasn't done anything. I mean, if anything, Maxine Waters and other corrupt California politicians like her are making the problem worse. You're telling me Maxine Waters, who owns a $5 million+ home in California in a prestigious neighborhood, wants to do something about housing and housing affordability in the state of California? Of course not. They do it on purpose. They love home scarcity because it makes their real estate worth more. They're part of the asset class, and they could not care less about housing affordability and shelter for Californians near or below the poverty line. I mean, for Pete's sakes, even for the middle class in California, it's hard to get a home. For any California Democrat politician to boast about their track record on this issue is a complete joke. They do nothing but overregulate, make it overly complicated to get a permit, over complex zoning laws, and all this nonsense, which makes it nearly impossible to build in the state of California. It's too expensive, or it's just not feasible. And the same politicians who show up to protests about homeless shelters and lack of housing affordability are the same politicians who are at the core of the problem itself. You know, real estate is booming in all kinds of different places. The one place where real estate is booming the most is the state of Florida. You know why that's happening? Because so many people are moving to Florida. There's more demand than there is supply. But you know what else is happening in the state of Florida? They're building a ton of homes. And so eventually supply is going to meet demand. In California, people are leaving and housing costs is still going up because they've allowed foreign investors to oversaturate their markets, and they've made it too complicated and too expensive to create more housing. Democrats don't care about you. They care about their real estate portfolio, not about putting a roof over your head. It's basically that simple. They make your life worse and then try to get elected on the same issues that they caused you. They cut your skin and then tell you, well, if you want a band-aid for that wound, you're going to need to elect me in the next election cycle. It's the only way. They're absolutely full of it. And we're seeing the exact same thing play on the national stage. Joe Biden once again refusing to ramp up domestic energy production as gas prices continue to cripple Americans, especially at the lower economic levels. And no matter how many times him and his administration get clowned on for telling regular Americans to just buy an electric car, you know, a $60,000 Tesla, as I always say, no matter how many times they get clowned on, they keep doubling down. Here's Joe Biden at his most recent press conference.
I mean, under my plan, which is before the Congress now, we can take advantage of the next generation of electric vehicles that a typical driver will save about $80 a month from not having to pay gas at the pump. If your home is powered by...
Yeah, alright, Joe. That single mother or that low-income household with multiple kids, barely making ends meet, stacking more and more debt, living paycheck to paycheck, and even below paycheck to paycheck, well, they're just gonna go pick up a $60,000 Tesla, and then what is it, like $20,000 to get an in-house charging station? Because as everybody knows, charging stations don't exist everywhere like gas stations. It's just not feasible, it's absolutely dumb, it's out of touch. It shows us the tone deafness and the elitism coming out of these leftist politicians, and once again proves the Democrats don't care about poor people. They just want to use you. The fact of the matter is, Donald Trump didn't really promise poor people anything in terms of subsidies and benefits. What he promised was a booming economy, energy independence, and low cost of goods. And so it turns out promising little, but delivering good economic results is a whole lot better than whatever the Democrats are selling. At least that's my interpretation. Let me know what you guys think, of course, in the comments. Leave a like, share the video as much as you can. I'm gonna get back to work. Thanks for watching. I'll see you on the next one.